NBA fans, Tuesday night was a highly anticipated matchup as Jimmy Butler made his return to Miami for the first time since the Heat traded him to the Golden State Warriors. Butler himself downplayed the significance, calling it just another game, but the atmosphere in Kaseya Center definitely suggested otherwise. The video details that Butler didn't exactly have a stellar offensive performance in the first half. Scoring only 2 points, the Warriors struggled as a whole. Trailing the Heat 57-40 at halftime, Butler picked up his scoring in the third quarter, tallying 9 points, and finished the game with 11 points and 6 rebounds in 29 minutes of play. Before the game, the Heat played a tribute video for Butler, which was met with a mixed reaction from the Miami crowd. While there was a lot of applause and positive sentiment, some boos could also be heard. The video notes that despite the somewhat rocky departure, Heat policy is to produce tribute videos for players who won an NBA championship or were all-stars with the team. And Butler certainly fits that bill. The Warriors managed to close the gap to 78-70 late in the third quarter thanks to a three-pointer from Jonathan Kuminga. However, the Heat finished the quarter strong with a Tyler Herro floater and a three-pointer from Davion Mitchell. Taking a 13-point lead into the final frame, Miami dominated the fourth quarter, outscoring the Warriors 29-16 and ultimately securing a decisive 112-86 victory. Bam Adebayo led all scorers with an impressive 27 points and 8 rebounds. Tyler Herro also had a strong game for the Heat, scoring 20 points and dishing out 7 assists while hitting all 4 of his three-point attempts. Alec Burks chipped in with 17 points, shooting lights out from beyond the arc. As a team, the Heat shot an incredible 70% from three-point range. The video points out that this loss could be problematic for the Golden State Warriors, who are currently battling for playoff positioning in the Western Conference. Meanwhile, the Miami Heat have a firm grip on the East's final play-in spot, despite their struggles since trading Butler. Interestingly, the Heat have gone 6-17 since the trade, while the Warriors have been on a tear, going 16-5 since adding Butler to their roster. The video reminds us of the tumultuous relationship that developed between Butler and the Heat, which ultimately led to the trade at the deadline. There were reports of Butler wanting a contract extension, public disagreements with team president Pat Riley, and Butler expressing his unhappiness in Miami. The video also mentions that the Warriors were without Stephen Curry for the second consecutive game due to injury. Coach Steve Kerr is hopeful he'll be back soon. During his nearly 6 seasons with the Heat, Butler put up some of the best numbers of his career, averaging 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 5.7 assists. His return to Miami was certainly a significant event, even if the game itself didn't go the Warriors' way. What were your thoughts on Butler's return and the game? Let us know in the comments below. Bucks fans, this is definitely not the news you wanted to hear as the playoffs approach. The Milwaukee Bucks have announced that their star point guard, Damian Lillard, is out indefinitely with a serious medical condition, deep vein thrombosis in his right calf. This is the same condition that recently ended Victor Wembanyama's season. The video details that Lillard has been diagnosed with a blood clot in his calf and is currently on blood-thinning medication to stabilize it. He will also undergo regular testing. Unfortunately, the team has not provided any timeline for his return to the court. This news is particularly concerning because, as the video points out, the Bucks only have 11 games left in the regular season, with the NBA playoffs set to begin on April 19th. Currently holding the number 5 seed in the Eastern Conference with a record of 40-31. The Bucks were hoping to solidify their playoff position heading into the postseason. Lillard last played on March 18th and has missed the 3 games since then. Initially described as a right calf strain, just on Monday, he reportedly described the issue as just the normal soreness. Clearly, it was much more serious than initially thought. At 34 years old, Lillard is in his 13th NBA season and his second with the Bucks. The team's record is noticeably better when he plays, going 32-26 compared to 8-5 when he's sidelined. While his individual numbers are slightly up from last season, the Bucks have struggled to consistently look like true contenders in the Eastern Conference. The video emphasizes the significant blow this is to the Bucks' championship aspirations. Losing a player of Lillard's caliber, especially with the playoffs looming, is a major setback. It's hard to imagine the team making a deep run without a miraculous and speedy recovery from their star point guard. The comparison to Victor Wembanyama's situation is also concerning. Wembanyama was diagnosed with deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder last month and was ruled out for the remainder of the season. The video notes that the recovery timeline for athletes with DVT can vary greatly, with some returning in a few months while others face more significant and long-term issues, often depending on the location of the blood clot. Bucks fans will undoubtedly be holding their breath, hoping for the best for Damian Lillard and a swift recovery. His health is the priority, but his absence will undoubtedly have a major impact on the Bucks' playoff hopes. What are your thoughts on this unfortunate news? Let us know in the comments below. Mavs fans, you can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Anthony Davis is back on the court for the Dallas Mavericks. As the video details, Davis made his return to the lineup on Monday in a 120-101 victory over the Brooklyn Nets. This was his first game back after recovering from an adductor strain that had sidelined him for 18 games. In his return, Davis played a limited 27 minutes, as head coach Jason Kidd had indicated he would be under a minutes restriction. Despite the limited playing time, Davis made a significant impact, tallying 12 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. He was efficient from the field, shooting 6 of 9. He even got the Mavericks on the board first with a baseline dunk to start the game. The video reminds us that Davis was acquired by the Mavericks earlier this season. He actually made his debut with the team back on February 8 against the Houston Rockets, where he had a fantastic game, putting up 26 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 blocks. Unfortunately, he suffered the adductor strain late in that game and had been out ever since. The Mavericks struggled in Davis's absence, going 6-12 during those 18 games. However, they remain in the thick of the Western Conference play-in race. With Monday's win, they improved to 35-37, tying them with the Phoenix Suns for the 10th spot in the West. The Suns currently hold the tiebreaker. The return of Anthony Davis is a massive boost for the Mavericks' hopes of making the postseason. The video correctly identifies Davis as a key part of the Mavericks roster. Before his injury, playing mostly with the Los Angeles Lakers this season, he was averaging impressive numbers: 25.7 points, 12 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 1.3 steals, and 2.2 blocks per game. These are definitely all NBA caliber stats. While the video mentions the lingering frustration in Dallas, it's crucial to clarify that Anthony Davis was traded to the Dallas Mavericks, not the other way around, involving Luka Doncic, who is the Mavericks franchise player. Regardless of any past trades, the fact remains that a healthy Anthony Davis makes the Mavericks a significantly better team. His return provides them with a much-needed boost as they fight for a playoff spot in the competitive Western Conference. What are your thoughts on Davis's return and the Mavericks' playoff chances? Let us know in the comments below. Get ready for a potential game-changer in the world of basketball. According to the video, NBA team owners are reportedly considering launching a brand new professional basketball league right here in Europe. This is massive news that could reshape the global basketball landscape. The video details that NBA owners are expected to vote this week on this initiative. The proposed league would consist of 8 to 10 franchises across Europe, with the aim of expanding basketball's presence on the continent and tapping into the sport's growing popularity. The NBA estimates that the European and Middle East market could generate a whopping $3 billion in annual revenue. Think about it. Franchises in major cities like London or Paris could potentially sell for at least $500 million. According to the video, the NBA's plan is to sell permanent franchise openings to outside investors, which could include sovereign wealth funds, private capital, wealthy individuals, or even existing European basketball clubs. The proposed ownership structure would see the NBA holding 50% equity in each team, with the new owners holding the other 50%. This model is similar to what was used for the WNBA in its early stages. What's even more intriguing is that the NBA's European League could operate under a semi-open model. This would potentially create pathways for top EuroLeague teams, like FC Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, to join the NBA venture in the following year. Imagine the rivalries and the level of competition. The video emphasizes that this initiative is separate from another international basketball league being proposed by LeBron James's business partner, Maverick Carter. That league is envisioned as more of a global, high-end competition, not a direct competitor to the NBA. NBA team owners have reportedly been discussing opportunities in Europe for the past year. The league has already made business moves in China and Africa and has even played regular season games in London and Paris. The rise of international stars like Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, and Victor Wembanyama has undoubtedly fueled the NBA's popularity overseas, making this a potentially perfect time for expansion. The video states that NBA owners are scheduled to discuss the European League proposal this week during league meetings in New York City. While a formal vote isn't scheduled, the league's board of governors could potentially vote on it at any time. This is a development that could have huge implications for basketball fans in Europe and around the world. Could we soon see an NBA-backed league thriving on the continent? It's definitely something to keep a close eye on. What are your thoughts on the NBA potentially launching a European league? Let us know in the comments below. We all know Jimmy Butler is a unique personality in the NBA. And when he got traded to the Golden State Warriors, you might have wondered how he'd fit into their established culture. Well, according to the video, Warriors coach Steve Kerr doesn't ask for much from his players. But the few rules he does have carry significant weight. Superstar forward Jimmy Butler recently revealed Kerr's two most important rules for him shortly after the blockbuster trade that brought him to Golden State. Show up on time and compete to win as part of the group. Simple enough, right? But these two non-negotiables speak volumes about Kerr's coaching philosophy. The video shares an interesting anecdote that highlights the relationship between Kerr and Butler and the team's overall culture. Apparently, when the Warriors were preparing to fly back to San Francisco after a win in Brooklyn, Butler pulled Kerr aside to inform him that he would be flying separately to Miami to pick up his children before the team's homestand. Butler told The Athletic, and the video quotes him saying, "I pulled Steve aside and said, 'Steve, I'm finna fly home and grab my kids.' He said, 'Oh, okay, yeah, see you back in the Bay.' Like nothing else, nothing." It's important to note that this wasn't a request from Butler, it was him letting the team know his plans. Fortunately for Butler, Steve Kerr, who is known for embracing a family-first environment, had absolutely no issue with it. Kerr wants his players to feel comfortable and have the freedom to manage their personal lives, as long as it doesn't get in the way of the ultimate goal, winning. The video includes a quote from Kerr himself, saying, "We welcome personal quirkiness and individualism. And I think guys always feel a sense of freedom here. I told Jimmy that from day one. I said, you be you." The Warriors, just like the other 4 NBA teams Butler has played for, have learned that trying to control him both on and off the court is likely a fruitless endeavor. But as long as Butler adheres to those 2 fundamental rules, being on time and competing as part of the team, it doesn't seem to be an issue for the Warriors. This little story really gives us a glimpse into the culture that Steve Kerr has cultivated in Golden State. It's a culture that values both accountability, showing up on time and competing, and individual freedom and personal well-being. It seems like Kerr trusts his players to handle their responsibilities as long as they're committed to the team's success. What do you think about Kerr's approach and Butler's fit with the Warriors? Let us know in the comments below. NBA fans, the return of Jimmy Butler to Miami was supposed to be an emotional affair. But according to the video, Butler himself seemed rather unfazed by the whole thing. Despite a tribute video from the Heat, Butler appeared to give his former team and fans very little in return emotionally. The video highlights Butler's post-game comments where he stated that his time in Miami was behind me a long time ago, and that everything that went on was dead as soon as he became a Golden State Warrior. This seemingly cold reaction contrasted sharply with the Heat's decision to honor him with a tribute video. While Butler acknowledged the tribute was nice and expressed love for the city and the fanbase, he admitted there weren't a lot of emotions and that he approached the game level-headed. His pre-game interactions with former teammates were minimal, with only a word for Kevin Love and a brief acknowledgement of Alec Burks. There was no warm embrace or extended interaction with his former coach, Eric Spoelstra, or star teammates Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro. although there was reportedly some extra physicality in their matchups. Notably, there was no mention of Heat president Pat Riley. The video suggests that the game meant more to the Heat than it did to Butler, as the two franchises have been on opposite trajectories since the trade. The Warriors have been revitalized by Butler's arrival, while the Heat have struggled significantly. Interestingly, the crowd in Miami, while showing some appreciation for Butler, didn't exactly create a rabid atmosphere, which Warriors coach Steve Kerr described as typical Miami. Butler did receive some boos, but the video argues that given his contributions to the Heat, he perhaps deserved a warmer reception. On the court, Butler and the Warriors struggled, with every Warriors starter scoring only 2 points in the first half. The Heat, on the other hand, played with a renewed energy and purpose, shooting an incredible 68% on three-pointers. Coach Kerr acknowledged that Spoelstra had the Heat ready for Butler's return, and they simply outplayed the Warriors. The video delves into the history of Butler's departure from Miami, noting the strained relationship with Pat Riley and the contract extension Butler desired but didn't receive. It also touches on the concept of Heat culture and how the team might be navigating its future without a superstar like Butler. Ultimately, the video paints a picture of a somewhat anticlimactic return for Jimmy Butler, where his focus was firmly on his new team and his past in Miami seemingly held little emotional weight. While the Heat showed their appreciation, Butler's demeanor suggested a closed chapter. What did you make of Butler's return and his reaction? Let us know in the comments below.